Thank you very much for staying with us. This is Politics Tonight, where we dig beyond the headlines. Tonight, we're discussing fuel subsidy removal after shocks, and I've been speaking with the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, in the 2023 elections, Adebayo. All right, Mr. Adebayo, now let's continue our conversation. And we're still talking about politics, and I'm sure you're aware that the president has shelved the idea of distribution of 8,000 naira to 12 million Nigerians. How do you view this?
It's not even worth commenting upon because, one, it is that amount was in the budget before. It's part of the, if people study the policy, it predated the president himself. It was part of Buhari's last budget, 2023 budget. When they went, it was not the Tinubu's government that went to negotiate the 800 million with the World Bank. It was part of the legacy of the last government. And what this government should have done, which maybe that's what they want to do now, is to look at what they met on ground, not just to continue. I know they promised that they were going to continue Buhari's policies. But if you come in, you know that Buhari was a human being. He could not be perfect. Not everything he did will be perfect. So even though you are the same party, you are friends, and you want to continue his policy, you take a second look at them. So if they are taking that second look, they will realize that, one, what people need is what money can buy, not the money itself. And they should not fall into a policy of monetary neutrality, where people don't have enough goods and services to buy. So the price goes up. So in order for you to make them to be able to buy, you now increase the amount of money in their hand. Then what will happen is that the price of that thing will go up further. But in reality, what you need to do is to take the money you have, not to give it to anyone, but to use it to produce more of the things they want to buy. So that is the simple solution to avoid the effect of monetary neutrality. So this government needs to kind of quickly set itself up. I'm surprised by now they haven't put up a cabinet. It is a reason why you have a cabinet. You have more people thinking with you. It is not the same people fixing appointment for you, taking picture with you, that will be taking of all these policies. It's not the same one man, Dele Alake, that will announce agricultural policy, investment policy, visitors visiting, you know. You need to put a cabinet in place. There are chances are that all of these things that I'm saying now, that I'm not the only one who knows it. There are many people, more brilliant than me, who you can hire and put in your government, and you can start to review all these things, and then different people will take different aspects. So those who are in petroleum will want to manage that petroleum market, but those who are in women affairs, social services, healthcare, they will be taking care of other issues. The Minister of Transport will be taking care of transportation. So let them quickly put their acts together.
All right.
They should, and then put a government in place, and then we can now engage their real policies. But some of these things they are announcing, suspending now, are not their own ideas. They are the things they met on ground, and they feel legally obligated or ideologically obligated to announce to the public.
Mr. Adebayo, conditional cash transfer has worked in other nations. Why do you think it is problematic here in Nigeria?
Why it is problematic in Nigeria are two things. One, conditional cash transfers. For example, in America here, we did a lot of it during COVID. And we do it from time to time for the poor and all of that. But what happens, you will see, is that from time to time, in America here, you will see people charged to court by the FBI that they have committed fraud. Either they have claimed money they are not entitled to claim, or they have misappropriated the money. In Nigeria, you could know that it's happening regularly. That's one problem with conditional cash transfer. A minister will tell you, I spent 500 billion giving money to people and nobody sees the money. That's number one. Second, in America, they first look for what the money can buy before they give you the money. So the conditional cash transfer sometimes is not even, it's given to the poor, but it's not for the benefit of the poor. It's for the benefit of industry. So America and other countries, before they give you a conditional cash transfer, they already produce the goods and services you are going to buy with it. In Nigeria, we're not producing. We're only giving money to people to chase the same thing that is not enough for everybody. So what the government needs to do is to generate productivity. And when you generate productivity, you find out that there are certain essential services, essential goods that people may not be able to buy, but you have in abundance. So if you have a surplus of yams, surplus of rice produced, surplus of all this, and there are certain people who are so poor, whether they can't work, whether they have disability, other reasons, they cannot afford to buy what is already affordable. You can now give them money to go and buy it. But you cannot give them enough money for them to compete on something that the price is too high, they cannot afford to buy. So the government should face productivity first. And you will see that the conditional cash transfer will go down. And it's also more painful in Nigeria that Nigeria has people who are working age, who want to work, but they're not letting them work. And they are paying them money. So you don't pay your people to become idle. You ask yourself, even if it's planting trees, if it is, for example, if the government had announced that anybody who is on NYSC now, or who just finished NYSC, and for those who will be on NYSC for the next 5 years, when you are on NYSC, you have an option to stay. You are automatically offered some employment. If you have a better employment, you can go and take it. But there's an employment already given to you. You cannot throw them out into unemployment and then be looking for them again to go and give them 8,000. Even if you increase the 8,000 to 80,000, it will still not solve their problem because you are going to give them for 6 months. The fundamental condition of the economy will not change because in economic terms, 6 months is called near term or immediate term. It's not even medium terms. Whereas you're supposed to plan for the long term, medium term, and take action in the immediate term. So it doesn't make any economic sense. So the government needs to appoint a chief economist who can be engaging some of these ideas and be advising them on what to do. And they need to carry the governors along because many of the problems that people are crying Tinubu, I described Buhari before, and they'll cry the next person when he comes, are problems that should be solved at community, local government level, and maximum at state level. It is state governments that the government should encourage to make transportation available within their states. So when I talk about making transportation affordable, it is not the Prime Minister of the UK that makes transport to work in London. That's for the Mayor of London. And Mayor of Aberdeen will do his own. Mayor of other cities will do their own. It is not Biden that is making transportation available in New York or Atlanta or Washington, D.C. It is the mayor or the governor of those states or mayor of that territory. These are the things. Today, I had a National Economic Council met, presided over by the Vice President. So I've been struggling to read what happened there, to find out, to call some people, what did you discuss? I believe these are the issues they should be discussing, and they should be taking these measures. When it comes to hardship, there's no federal hardship, there's no state hardship, there's no local government hardship. When it comes to poverty, there's no federal poverty. There's no state poverty or local government poverty. If you give food to somebody, he will not ask you, did you come from Tinubu or did you come from the governor of my state or local government? What we need to do is to make sure that in the immediate term, we come together as one country and make sure that we eliminate poverty. And then government start to make priorities on long-term industrial and agricultural revolution in the country. And also doing other things that will make sure that in the first term of Tinubu's government, he at least is able to reduce unemployment to a single digit.
All right.
I know they will say it's very hard, but if he doesn't do it, we will kick him out.
All right.
Maybe a more social democratic party will come into power.
All right. So talking about the president,
for his own survival.
How do you describe the way President Tinubu has handled the matter so far?
I would describe the way he has handled the matter that he has not started handling the matter.
How do you mean?
He has made himself announcer of Buhari's policies. And those policies are now like owned by him. So like this 8,000 naira debacle, they are not his ideas. They were the ideas of Buhari's government. So this removal of subsidy, it wasn't the one who put it into the law. It was Buhari who put it into the law. But he came and also he supports it. So I'm waiting for his own comprehensive policy. If you look at his renewed hope, I still read it today. I read it overnight again. And I read through it. I said, okay, maybe he hasn't read it again himself. Maybe He's busy now receiving congratulations and all of that. But if he goes back to that renewed hope, he will see that it's not the best economic policy, but if he implements that one, he will be the most successful president in Nigeria. But he's not implementing it. So maybe his cabinet has not come, maybe whatever. But I have a feeling that the way he has handled the first almost 60 days, if he handles everything like that, he will be a failed president. There's nobody. They can be following him, congratulating him, say this and that. He will fail woefully like all the others who failed before. But if he follows that renewed hope and then decides to add a few more ideas to it, because now he's in government, he can have a better eye view of the government. That time he was speculating, but now he's there now. So he can now amend it and do everything, and he will be a successful president. It doesn't mean that we're not going to go and contest against him and try to defeat him, but you want every government that is in place to succeed. Because even if you are hoping to come to power later, you want certain problems to have been solved before you get there. So I'm rooting for him to succeed, but I cannot help him, but I can help himself. I can only pray for him. I can't force him to say amen. So it is for him to go and make sure he has enough people within his own party. I know a few people there. Let him first face people inside his party. Select the best of them first. Nobody here is looking for him to come and take us to come and work for him. Let him use his own people. But he must pursue certain policies that make immediate sense, medium-term sense, and have prospects for long-term sustainability. You cannot be in a political mood. You are now a manager of resources, human resources, material resources. So you must go into governance mode. Don't carry out all these politics mode. They are changing chairman of your party. The person who wants to be chairman is coming to you. All these things, they will never end.
All right.
So you need to sit down,
all right, Mr. Adebayo,
and then make sure that the most prominent of the people who speak for you in the public are people who speak for policy, not people who are associated with your politics. Because you need to govern, and you need to give direction to the civil servants. All the civil servants are in disarray now. Everybody just do whatever they like.
All right.
So you need to harmonize all of that, give them a strong head of the civil service, and let the government run, let efficiencies come. There's no problem we cannot solve. All these problems will go away. And you need to govern. It's like a pilot. Your first duty is to fly the plane. The second duty is to navigate and go to the right direction. The third duty is to communicate what you are doing so that the passenger won't think, oh, we're about to crash, whereas you're just turning. So you need to do all of that. Those are the things you need to do. And any government who does that, including his own, will succeed.
All right.
Anyone who doesn't.
So as we speak, the pump price of petrol has hit 617 per liter, naira per liter, and this has led to increase in cost of goods and services. So what other measures do you think the federal government should institute to support vulnerable Nigerians?
This is part of what we have been saying. First, let us not start looking at the meter again, because the way petrol is going, but petrol may get to 2,000 per liter because it is rolling down the hill. So I don't want people to start developing hypertension over the pump price. Because if, for example, something happens tomorrow, crude oil shoots from $70 per barrel to $120 per barrel, definitely petrol price will adjust. What happens if we have more demand for foreign exchange than supply, and in a free-flowing market, or a naira can become 2,000 for a dollar. So don't start looking at the price of petrol. Let it be going where it's going. What you need to look at is what is the cost of transport? What is the cost of food? What is the cost of housing? And those things that people need. If you give people what they need, they will not worry. I give examples, and Nigeria like to complain that I give example of other countries, but they are human beings like us. If it works for them, it works for us. As of today, with all the noise about petroleum price, the price of petrol in New York is still higher than that of Nigeria. The cost of petrol in London is still higher than that of Nigeria. But nobody in London and nobody in New York is spending more than 10% of their salary to transport around. So this is where the government needs to be creative to make sure that if in the capital of capitalism, New York, government is ensuring that they are watching the cost of transport. I am not saying that government should guarantee a price of petrol. No, but they should guarantee, they should be careful that the price, the cost of airfare and the cost of food and the cost of housing and the cost of medical care don't go beyond, when you aggregate them together, maybe maximum 45% of the earning of a worker. So even the workers who work in the villa, if the president asks them this question, if they are relying on their salary alone, they will not be able to come to the villa to assist him to execute his presidency. If you ask the chief judge, the workers who work for the judiciary, if they rely on their salary for transport and everything, the courts will not be able to sit. So people are now resorting to corruption or other gifts, or other extra legal income, or in those establishments, they are creating staff bosses and all of that to make sure you go to work. If you remember, growing up in those days, if you had an uncle working in NEPA, you will see NEPA staff boss coming to pick him in the morning. If he works in water corporation, the same thing. If you even secondary school that I attended, St. Joseph's College, they used to use buses to come and pick us from the street corner. And if you go around the civilized world of which we should belong, you will see that they have school buses for every school district. How can you say you are collecting taxes from people and you are creating schools, but you don't think of how the children are going to go to the school? So there's no country that doesn't have school buses except in Nigeria. So those are the things, if you do them, the poor will leave you alone. You can sell your petrol any price you want.
All right.
And all your friends can become first billionaire of the year, the richest people in Africa.
All right, Mr. Adebayo, you know,
Yes.
hiking fuel price is volatile and dependent on international markets. So what can Nigeria do to get out of this quagmire?
It's not a quagmire because we are part of the international market. When you talk of international market, we're a producer there. We're a member of OPEC. But there are creative measures Nigeria can take if the government wants to follow Chapter 2 of the Constitution. For example, OPEC does not control your domestic consumption of crude. OPEC only gives you a quota of what you sell in the international markets. So if I were president today, what I will be planning is this. I will plan to partner with refineries and also make sure that we repair our own refineries. So if you have a particular refinery in one location and you check that refinery, I will give you certain crude from Nigeria's production. This crude is not to be sold in international markets. I will give the crude to you to produce petrol and sell to me, to my people. I can do that. You can still, but it means that you have to ramp up your production and govern that upstream sector very well. It doesn't affect the one you are selling in the international market. You can say, okay, I'll produce 300,000 barrels for domestic refinery, and I will use that one to service my people. OPEC will not complain. If you produce 2 million barrels, 5 million barrels, and you consume inside your country, it doesn't concern OPEC. It is the one you are selling in the international market that OPEC will complain about. So you can take that measure in the medium term. But right now, try as much as possible to take your people off expensive transportation. When people say the price of petrol is too high, they are not crying for petrol. They are crying for the transport fare they are paying. They are crying for the cost of food that they have to buy. They are crying for the cost of electricity that they have to use to power their better pumps and neighbor generator. So those are the things you need to talk about. So let us forget about the idea whether subsidies should have been removed.
All right, so quickly.
It's been removed already. Let's now go to the second level.
All right, Mr. Adebayo. So how will you advise President Tinubu to handle economy in his quest to turn things around?
I don't know whether I'm qualified to advise somebody who's wiser than me. He has been governor before. He has everything. He has some experience. The only thing he needs to do is to make his choices because he's the president now. So he's not president of Dangote alone or Tedola or me. He's the president of everybody. And he needs to remember people like Awolowo. They were always on the side of the people. And I knew him first as a follower of Abiola. Let him search his heart. Does he think that MK Abiola will take this kind of decision he's taking? I don't think so. I knew Abiola quite well. And he knew Abiola more than I did. So Abiola will not behave like this. So you cannot be wearing Awo cap, wearing Awo glasses, and everybody around Awolowo following you, and you're not taking Awolowo kind of decision. So he's a very brilliant man. He's a competent man. But he needs to remember the legacy of where he comes from. I come from the legacy of Aminu Kano. So if you see me in government any day, I will always remember, will Malam Aminu Kano take a decision like this? I will, if he won't, I won't. I have to be a better version of him. So let President Tinubu be a better version of Abiola. Let him be a better version of Awolowo. Let people say, oh, if Abiola was alive, if Abiola had been allowed to exercise his mandate, this is what Abiola would have done.
All right.
But what he's doing now are opposite of what Abiola would have done.
Thank you very much, sir.
Ask his new friend to leave him alone. Let him do his job.
All right.
Thank you.